morning. Thank you for being with us today. Would you please join me in our opening prayer? The energy of love is within us and is us. Whole and complete is the I am that we are. We awaken to the truth of our being. We will this be done within and without. May we come to recognize that we receive all that we give. We know that we have forgiven others when we forgive others of all grievances held within our minds. May we not be led into temptation by the voice of separation, but instead, may we transcend all illusions. For ours is the power, love, and peace of Christ consciousness found within each of us, who is but the perfect extension of the one mind and heart that is shared by all and is our birthright as the holy extension of love itself. And our affirmation of faith, we believe in one God, the author and energy of all life, whose love sustains the universe and all things found within it. And our 5 Christ principles. There is only one energy in the universe. That energy is love, at all times active in everyone, everywhere. 2, we are the divine energy of love, and that energy is found throughout the universe and in all things, whether seen or unseen. 3, we create our experiences by what we choose to think, feel, and believe, thereby establishing our responsibility for our own choices. 4, through opening our heart center, we connect with the energy of love and bring out the Christ within us. 5, we express our desire to be of service when we live and demonstrate Christ consciousness in all our affairs.
Thank you, Miss Penny, and thank you, Kevin, so much. And thank you to everyone who is here, who is watching online, and who will watch later this week. Welcome to the Church of Christ Consciousness. And I think most of you are aware today's Palm Sunday. And I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different for the Palm Sunday message. What is the symbolism behind Palm Sunday? I understand what most people think it is, the triumphant entrance of Jesus to Jerusalem. And of course, that's what it is on the surface. But there's so much about Palm Sunday that if you will come at it with an open mind, you will see things, hear things, and recognize what that event was actually trying to tell us. So Palm Sunday, the beginning of what we call Holy Week. Jesus enters Jerusalem for what would be the final few days of his life. And he knew it was coming. He knew the end was coming. Yet, he never wavered. So he entered Jerusalem, and he did so on the back of a mule. Some people ask, why did he not ride a horse? Well, horses were for the wealthy. They were for those of high status back then. So it is a sign of humility, and I think most people have heard that before. Yet there's something more about the fact that he rode in on a mule. Why a mule? Or as the Bible puts it, a jackass. Why? Why did he ride in on a mule or a jackass? Is there symbolism there? And you know what? There is. A mule represents actually an obstinate person. When you look up the word mule in the dictionary, it actually says an obstinate person. He rode the back of a mule, of a jackass, to demonstrate he had overcome human stubbornness, the stubbornness of truth, the stubbornness of who and what we are. He knew he was the Christ. He knew he had overcome temptation. He overcame the human ego. And that's what that represents. Yes, it represents humility, but it represents the overcoming, the rising above just the human condition. Well, when he entered into Jerusalem, everyone was so happy to see him. They lined the streets and they began to lay palm fronds in front of the mule. It was a sign of welcoming, yes. But here's the beauty of the symbolism. They laid palm fronds. The word palm comes from the Latin palma, and it means the palm of the hand. They laid palm fronds to recognize the opening of the hand. No longer were they like this, fighting the truth. It represented the opening, the surrender to the Christ. And it was a welcoming. For they welcomed Jesus as the Christ, who the Jews called the Messiah, the Savior, the chosen one. But already the Pharisees were not happy because of the reception that he was receiving. And they had already began the plot to arrest him, try him, and ultimately crucify him. What was he guilty of? What was he guilty of that they wanted nothing less than his death? They tell us it wasn't because he was a good man. They did it for two reasons, which really can be taken to one. They could not stand him because he forgave. And here's the beauty. Not one person in the Bible asked for forgiveness. He just said, you are forgiven. You are forgiven. No one asked for forgiveness, but he simply forgave. And when he forgave, it was done and over. You are forgiven. And he was accused of making himself like God. For the Pharisees said, you make yourself out to be like God, you who are but a mere man. And he said, does it not say in your law, ye are but gods? And if it is written, it must be true. Jesus didn't come to destroy the law, he came to fulfill it, and he did. And what was the mission? The mission was to wake us up. But more than anything, it was to get us to forgive each other and ourselves. And he only gave us two beautiful commandments. I've said before that the 10 Commandments were given to us as a way to navigate the external world. That's all. At the Sermon on the Mount, he gave us 8 of what's called the Beatitudes. Those Beatitudes are the 8 inner commandments to turn within and guide us within the spiritual realm. Well, the last 2 he spoke towards his death. And when he was asked what was the greatest of all the commandments, speaking of the 10 Commandments given by Moses, he said the first is to love God with all of your heart, mind, and soul. And the second is likened, which means to be equal with the first. To love ye one another as you love yourselves. That was it. To love. So what was he here to teach? He was to teach us to forgive each other and ourselves and to love. I'd like to say something today, even though it's Palm Sunday. Come Friday, when they crucified him, they tried him, then took him to Pontius Pilate, and he never defended himself. He always answered, "That's what you say. That's what you say." And I want to say this before Easter Sunday, next Sunday. It is time for us to stop standing at the foot of the cross, looking up at the cross. He isn't there. He is not there. He is alive today as he was on Easter Sunday. And Palm Sunday, 1 week prior to the resurrection of Easter Sunday, he enters into the city of Jerusalem, which means the city of peace. That's what Jerusalem means in the ancient Hebrew, the city of peace. And Jesus is called the Prince of Peace. He is the Prince. And to be a prince, there has to be a king. There has to be one above. That would be God the Father, our source, the one. He gave us everything. But I'm going to leave every one of you with this. There are churches that will teach and do teach that most people are doomed and going to hell. That's not what the Master said. That's not what Jesus said. He didn't say that. If it was true, he would have said it. But it was this week, Holy Week, which starts today, when he said, all are saved. All are saved, except for the son of perdition. Except for one, all are saved. Who is that one? There you go. It is the one, it's the obstinate one. When we think that we are separate, that's the one that isn't saved. We are already there. For it also says in the Bible, we were resurrected with him and are seated at the right hand of the Father. We are in the heavenly realms, it says in the Bible. I get a lot of nasty grams for saying all are saved. No one came up to Jesus and said, "Oh, Master, save me." No. He just forgave him. It was done. We're already forgiven, guys. We are forgiven. But why don't we know that? Why do we not know that we are already forgiven? In the Lord's Prayer, he told us what we have to do to know it. We must what? Forgive. We must forgive to know that we have been given forgiveness. And until we forgive, we will never know that we have it. And that's in accordance with the law of being. Jesus fulfilled the laws. He fulfilled the law of being. To give is to have. To have is to be. To be is to know. To know is to experience. To experience is to become aware. And to become aware is to express the self. Jesus forgave, knowing he had forgiveness. And having forgiveness, he knew he was. He was forgiveness itself. And because he knew that, he knew the knowledge of what he was, the Christ. And because he knew it, he was able to experience being the Christ. And because he experienced it, knowledge plus experience equals awareness, he was aware of exactly who and what he was, the Christ. And then he could express the Christ, even into this moment. We can express the Christ, and we do every time we forgive. So this Palm Sunday, I want you to recognize what his mission was. His mission was to let each of us know we're forgiven. We are forgiven. He only asks that we forgive others, love them, love ourselves, be the love that he is, be the love that is the Christ. And then you too will lay down a palm frond today as you welcome the truth. The palm. Surrender. Surrender the obstinate human part of ourselves to the truth of what we are. And that is Palm Sunday. It is surrendering to win, not to lose. What do we win, guys? We win heaven. We win eternity. We win it all. We win everything. There's no loss. So the simple act of laying down the palm frond is just to symbolize we know who we are. We have surrendered that obstinate self, that stubborn self that is within us, the one who's afraid and angry all the time. And we rise above it. We ascend it to become the love that we are in truth. That is what this day represents. Now may we be it, act it, and live it. Thank you, guys.
Let's take just a moment to reflect on the message today. Just settle into your seats and get calm. And take a breath in and say to yourself, I am. And take a breath out and say, love. Breathe in, I am. And breathe out, stillness. Breathe in, I am. And breathe out, eternal. As we settle into this moment, let us use this time for some self-examination and reflection. Let's take a moment to examine any unresolved fears, anxiety, doubts, or negative feelings that we have experienced. This especially includes those about yourself. Where you are afraid to let go of old patterns or thoughts because you are too insincere of the unknown repercussions this may have on your life, bless it, forgive it. What would your life look like if we crucified those thoughts or activities that are not in our highest good? Reimagine your life if you crucified those things that keep you from joy. Just take a moment for reflection. Let's choose to crucify the thoughts that created fear and anxiety within us. Let us begin life anew by letting our true selves, our higher selves, come forth and rise up, resurrected in the knowledge that the source of all creation is calling you to your highest good, and ascend into the life that we can have through Christ consciousness, the fullness of life for eternity. I'd like to pray divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We give and receive in love. If you'd like to know more about us, you can look us up at ulchurchofchristconsciousness.org. And thank you for joining us today.